In just a minute, if anyone wants to grab an agenda, if they need one, feel free to. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Can you please, no, we're gonna rise for the pledge of allegiance. It is the first time here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a reminder, the Greene County Community School District, in partnership with its communities, will promote lifelong learners through real-world experiences. And our focus and priorities are academic excellence, recruit and retain quality staff, resource management, and community relations. Brenda, would you do the roll call?
Dominic.
Here.
Fields.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
McConnell.
Here.
Silva.
Here. And then can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I will so move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Please call the roll.
Fisher.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Silva.
Now is the time for open forum. Open forum is on the agenda to allow patrons of the district to communicate with the board and will allow 3 to 5 minutes for individuals, slightly more for organized groups. So do we have someone, I think, that wants to speak? All right. And would you please go ahead and state your name and where you live, and then
Yes.
feel free.
Daniel Cunningham, 505 South Maple Street, Jefferson. And while I prefer to speak extemporaneously, please allow me to read a statement. To the Greene County School District Board. Prior to my becoming a resident in the Greene County School District, my educational and vocational background included opportunities to study psychology and work in hospital behavioral health units and outpatient group homes. I learned much about life development theories from the likes of Erickson and Piaget, and observed behavioral reformation programs of adolescents within a psychiatric care environment. There are volumes of studies regarding childhood and adolescent behavioral theories and models. Among them is the reality that negative childhood behavioral trajectories are reversible, but that the negative trajectory is best corrected at early ages. A child during the terrible twos may exhibit negative behaviors, but they are correctable, utilizing varied proved models of behavioral modification. These studies also suggest corrected negative behavior displays stability as the child grows older and moves into adolescence. Comparatively, learned negative behavior becomes rigid as the behaviors are conceded and codified. After 6 months of occasional substitute teaching in the Greene County School District, I have come to the conclusion I no longer wish to continue. Put the blame on me if you wish, but in my defense, my experience suggests a need for further investigation. During my last assignment with the 7th grade class, I performed a basic research project measuring consequential and non-consequential behaviors as described in the STEDI Substitute Teacher Handbook. Using my own rudimentary measurement of disruptive behavior, 62% of the students displayed behaviors interrupting the classroom's atmosphere of learning. Famous UCLA basketball coach John Wooden once said, "The true test of one's character is what they do when no one is watching." A substitute teacher is invisible. They carry neither carrot nor stick. They do not grade students' assignments, nor do they hold parent-teacher conferences. No doubt the behaviors I measured are different than the regular classroom teacher observes, but the behaviors I measured are what I believe exposes the essence of these students' characters. The 38% of 7th grade students whom I admire and whom I thank for their displays of good character during my involvement with them deserve a learning environment which enhances their abilities and interests. Sincerely, Daniel Cunningham. If it pleases the board, I'd like to leave a signed copy with the district office as a letter of resignation.
We aren't allowed to comment back, but thank you for your comments. Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak during open forum? Okay, we're going to continue on to our consent items. And if we could go ahead and have a motion to approve the consent items with the pulling out of two retirements that we're going to, help me out with my word.
Commendation.
Commendation, that was the good word I was looking for. So if we could get a motion to approve the consent items.
I will move the consent items with pulling out those two retirements.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Fields.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
Sobek. Sobel.
All right. Well, we have two retirement applications, so we want to honor those two tonight. Linda Henning, I didn't see her in here, but she has been with us 18 total years, 13 as a teacher. So we want to thank her for her many years of service. And then our middle school principal, Sean Zanders, we also want to thank you for your many years of service as well. So good luck on anything you choose to do following that. So yeah, you're very welcome.
Okay, I will make a motion to honor these two retirements.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Fisher.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
Sobel.
Aye. Okay, we are gonna go ahead and go forward with our second reading of the new board policy 8.405 on the stock prescription medication. Any other comments on that from last time? Basically looking at getting that rolling for our school nurses, so. Do we have, now we're looking for a motion to go ahead and approve board policy 804.05.
I will make a motion to approve the new board policy 804.05.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Dominic.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Sobel.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna move on along to the superintendent's report.
Yep, we'll start with our elementary principal for staff and student recognition.
Okay. So I'm going to start with the students first, okay? So the first student I'd like to recognize is Easton Bright. Come on up here, Easton. Okay, I'm gonna have you stand right here. There you go.
Good job.
Okay, all right, are we good? Everybody see us? Okay. Easton is a first grader in Miss Kaufman's class this year. He came with mom and dad and his sisters. And Easton, I want to share with you what your teachers have said about you, okay? Easton is always willing to help other people around him with any kind of problem. You want to please your teachers and you want to be a good friend. And I have noticed that you love to say hi to me and you're always happy. That's like one of my favorite things about you. So I'm going to give you your certificate. Okay. That one is for you. You get one of these too. So here's your certificate. Okay, I'm gonna shake your hand and they are warm now. And there's your certificate. Thanks, buddy. The next person I would like is Savannah Edwards. Okay, Savannah, come right up here. Stand right here. Okay, we're gonna look this way. All right, Savannah is a third grader in Mrs. Flack's class. She came with her dad tonight, and this is what your teacher said about you, Savannah, okay? Savannah is very kind to others in the classroom. You always have a positive attitude, and you enjoy coming to school. You work hard, you are respectful, responsible, and safe, and we work very hard on that at our school, don't we? Being respectful, responsible, and safe. You have built some really strong friendships in our class, and you are so supportive to others. So I would like to give you your certificate. Okay, I want to shake your hand. Let me shake this one. Okay, there we go. See, I warmed them up, and there's your gift certificate. All right, let's give Savannah. Okay, I have Paige Burns next. She is a fourth grade teacher for us. And come on up, Paige. She is a new teacher to our district this year. And what your colleagues said about you, here, this is where the camera is. What your colleagues said about you is they love your energy and your excitement and just how you interact with your students. And that's something that I've noticed too. You're just willing to jump in and do anything new. So I really appreciate that about you, Paige. So here's your certificate and I'll shake your hand. All right. And Tyler Lowmiller. Tyler is he is a paraeducator in Mrs. Paulson's class, works with many students and is very busy around the building. So what your colleagues, Tyler, said about you, actually, I have to condense it because, so here, you are always willing to help, no matter where at, which is absolutely true. If he's not with one student, he's with another. He just picks up wherever is needed. And your colleagues really appreciate that about you. And they also notice that no matter what it is that you do, you give your best and you build great relationships with students and staff. So I would like to shake your hand. Congratulations. Here's your certificate. And Mrs.
Heino, Mr. Z.
All right. All right. Stuff. All right, let's start with Delaney Peterson. Delaney, would you come up, please? Delaney's a fifth grader at Greene County Middle School, daughter of Keith and Mary Peterson. Thank you both for being here tonight. Delaney was a student of the month, I think, what month was that? Do you remember? A couple ago, hasn't it? November, yeah, not too long ago. Here's what her teachers wrote about her when she was student of the month for that month. Delaney's a great leader to her classmates and others around her. She is always a positive thinker and extremely hard worker. Delaney, way to show the Rams way. That's what they said. Personally now, I've seen Delaney in the common areas for about better part of the year now. And the thing that I admire about Delaney is that she shows really good friendship to her peers. What I've seen is that she's kind. She has a good sense of humor. She supports them when they need supporting, and she stands up for them when they need to be supported in that way as well. She has a good sense of right and wrong. I know she's very active in sports as well. Yeah, but I've seen her at recess. She's pretty tough in a lot of different areas of the recess playground too. Yeah, don't battle her. Anyway, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun cheering on this kid on the field of play, but also in the classroom because she's a great student. Delaney, thank you very much for all you do. And that's a $10 gift card. All right, thank you, man. All right, sixth grader, James Elisario. James, come on up. James is the son of Eric Elisario and Stephanie Elisario. Thank you for being here tonight. His teachers wrote about him that James always has a positive attitude, works hard in class, and is kind to everyone. James works well with his classmates too. We're proud to say that James follows the Rams way and helps make our school a great place to be. Personally, I see James, not only is he a tall sixth grader, but he acts like a big brother to a lot of sixth graders too. And by that, I mean, he looks out for other people. He often does things that others are unwilling to do or reluctant to do. And he just flat gets things done when things need to get done. I remember my first memory of you last year, James. You had gone to a concert, I think, on the eastern side of the state. You had a concert t-shirt on. Do you remember? It was like to Dubuque, maybe? Do you remember who you saw that night?
Yeah, and the band name is Whiskey Myers.
Whiskey Myers, yeah. And I'm a fan of music, and I hadn't heard of them, so I started talking to him, and I said, well, did you go to that over the summer? And he goes, no. I said, well, when did you go to that? He said, last night in Dubuque, and he was back in school the next day. You won me over right there, man. That's responsibility right there. So, James, thank you very much for all that you do for our student body. You are a super good addition to us. I'm sorry, I messed you up there. Staff members I want to recognize tonight. Mr. Palmer, would you come up, please? Bob Palmer is our middle school band director. And right now that means 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Although in your 15-year career, how many different grade levels have you instructed?
I've done 5 through 12 and general music and choir. And
yeah, he's done a lot of different things in his time here. He's a product of the multiple collaborations, consolidations, et cetera. And we're happy that he still resided here. Some of his 7th grade band members nominated him. They admire and appreciate his knowledge of music. They appreciate his patience with them. They know how hard that can be. And they appreciate how he cares about the band and each of the members. Like I said, Mr. Palmer's been here 15 years teaching at all levels, 22nd year in teaching, I think you mentioned to me. Personally, I'm continually amazed by how far our kids go from the time they get started in band until the time they leave here. Like, how do you do that? I mean, I used to coach different sports and stuff, but that's just maybe a classroom full of kindergartners would set me in that same kind of fear. But a band with no knowledge whatsoever, and then they leave here and they really produce some wonderful music. In addition to conducting, he also writes and arranges music. He coaches at the high school in esports, and he teaches an esports exploratory for us. So Bob, thank you so much for all that you contribute here. Thank you, sir. You bet. And Miss Mandy Jacobson, if you would come up. Mandy is an associate here at the middle school. And I think if I recall right, correct me if I'm wrong, you started when we had a Quebeca program.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the first floor of the old middle school building. That's the first time I remember interacting with you.
Mhm.
And I think it was just getting starting about the same year I came in here.
I'd want to
Yeah.
say, yeah.
So is this like about your 10th year somewhere in there?
Ninth.
9th year? Okay. So it was fairly early. The students referred to her as Miss Mandy, I think.
Yes.
And she began with us in that year with Quebeca. When that agreement ended, Mandy continued with us as we moved the behavior program into our own system. And I'm really glad that she has. Kids have told me that they really admire her for her calmness, her demeanor, her friendliness. She smiles a lot and they like that. And she just doesn't get rattled, just even keeled. And kids, especially at middle school, really appreciate that, I think. She's a rock star when it comes to employability type stuff. Like, she just shows up and gets stuff done. And she's willing to contribute. If we say, hey, we really need help with this, she goes, sure, what time? And it's done. So Mandy, thank you so much for all your contributions. I really appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Phillips.
Looking for my students and I don't see them. I think one's at work and one's at track practice. So we'll start with the adults. Lana Buxton, come on up. Lana's one of our 3 science teachers at the high school. I'm always impressed when I go into her classroom because no matter what they're doing, she can connect real life applications and even personal experiences to the content. The kids really enjoy that. She teaches an ACT prep class with another teacher, and that's really popular with students. She's taken kids to the Science Bowl, which got canceled last year. I think it was January. Done that for 13 years, and the kids really enjoy that. We always do really well. She's an outstanding teacher in our building and a role model for others, and I just really appreciate her.
Thank you.
Next is Brandon Gusta. Come on up. Brandon shows my age a little bit because I met him when he was a sophomore in high school in 2011. So it's weird having students as employees, and he started in 2000, I want to say 16 as an associate. He is the lifeblood of our Ram restaurant, our bistro, our coffee shop, and really helped Julie Kennedy, who's currently the teacher that took over for Donna Cargill. So she really leaned on him for what past practice was and how to improve the program. And he's been a fast friend and a great employee, and I'm glad to call him a friend. Okay, Grace Hardaway, who's not here, I don't see her. She was nominated by the staff for PBIS Student of the Month. And Mr. Heupel was the one that nominated her, and then she was voted as one of our PBIS Students of the Month. And this is what he said. I nominated Grace because she is always in a peppy mood, has a smile, and a great attitude. She is involved in just about everything and never hesitates to go above and beyond to help out with whatever is needed. And I can say she's involved in everything because I had a devil of a time trying to find her because she's always doing something, but I finally found her and gave her a different certificate that we print out, not the district one. And she's just a great student. So a round of applause for her and her absence. Next one is Chad Maston. He got nominated by Mrs. Vandermeer, his Spanish teacher. And she says, Chad shows up every single day and works hard in Spanish class. He is always up for a challenge and never complains. He uses his time wisely and is consistent in everything that he does. Another positive quality is that he is kind to everyone and polite. So round for Chad, please.
Well, congratulations to everybody. We are going to take a 3 to 5 minute break so everybody can get photos with their teachers and different things for recognition, and then we'll come back and resume our meeting. Right? Yeah, it did. With our, under reports, we're gonna resume with our board committee reports. Does anybody have?
Did you have anything else?
Oh, sorry, yes. Any other superintendent reports you'd like to report on? Okay. I don't believe you yet.
No.
Okay, we're really good.
later.
Yes,
Yes, we will.
that's not on the agenda. Okay. So yeah, board committee reports.
Negotiation.
Yeah, negotiation committee met and we figured that out. And so that's, you'll see that here in just a little bit. The negotiated agreement between the Education Association.
No, I missed the conference committee meeting, but they did her without me, so we were gone. I was on the theater committee last weekend. They sure did a nice job with the play.
Yeah.
It was excellent.
All right. Okay, then we'll move on over to other administrative reports. And these are our reports from our administrators. And
Just ask if there's any.
yeah, I was
questions or
gonna
any
say, we've all had a
comments.
chance to look at them.
Yeah.
Anything in particular?
I was just gonna point out on the elementary staff culture survey, thanks for sharing that. It was just interesting information. It's not something I have to have, but it's just kind of good to see how staff are feeling.
Yeah.
Whether, I mean, you're gonna have both ends of the spectrum and
Yeah.
see where we need to work on. So I appreciated that, and a big win for the high school with an industrial tech teacher.
Yeah.
I was really shocked to see that, so awesome.
Thank you. The one thing I'll just point out in the Career Academy, we're adding a new strand for 23-24. It's a business strand. So that's a new thing in there. So instead of, we're moving from 7 to 8 strands now.
Wow.
So
37 enrolled.
37 enrolled. We're right now
Wow.
for next year, we're looking at about 46 as of right now. So, and in the right direction with the Career Academy.
Absolutely, and it was a great visit that came with the legislators and that was put on the, I don't remember, 2 weeks ago now. Excellent way to showcase.
Yeah, it's good to see the promotional things that you and Teresa and the others are doing, and they're really, yeah, I think we're seeing good progress in the academy, and I hope that can continue.
And how many
I know.
legislators were there? I picked out 3 of them.
There was between legislators, like state representatives, and I think there was 8.
Okay.
If I remember right. I'd have to go back and think about who
I didn't-
who they were, but I think there was 8.
Because I recognized some faces and then others I was like, oh.
A few had to duck out early just because of some other commitments, but yeah, I think it was 8 altogether. Surprised that a couple who attended, but glad they did.
Well done.
All right. Then we'll keep moving on to other reports or correspondence, and it just looks like there's a couple fundraiser follow-ups to take a peek at. So the mattress sale, $4,000, and then the
Wow.
NHS was $377, so that was good. And then, a bake sale at the 8th grade, $272, and more. I'm like, this more. $740.
But wait,
But wait, there is more. That's great. And then the chili supper, $1,500. So for those that went to any of those or donated, your money makes a difference. That's a big deal. All right. We are gonna move on into new business. And we've had someone patiently waiting, so it looks like we have a request. So Michelle, I'll let you take over here.
All right. So Addison, what we'd like you to do is just tell us your name, where you live, and why you need a school.
Yeah.
I'm Addison Walker, and I live in Jefferson, 304 East Madison. I need a school permit because my mom has to take my little sister and my brother and me to school, all different places. And it's stressful for her in the mornings because I'm usually the reason she's late. But no, I just got done with driver's ed and everything. And plus I want to gain more experience because I turn 16 in a few months. And so I want to gain some experience until then.
Okay. So you should have with you your DOT form. Yep. And we're just gonna remind you of a couple of things with that permit. So you are allowed with this license, you are allowed to drive from your house to school and school to your house. If you need to stop and get gas, of course, you can do that as well. You can carry one other person in the car that's not living in your house, like a friend or something, with you, but they have to get out of the car and get into the car the same place that you do, so you can't be dropping them off. There is a time restriction on when you can drive. You know what that is?
I can't remember. I know it's like.
So you can drive between 5 a.m. until 10, until 10. Let's see.
You can drive all night if you want.
Just don't make
Just don't get caught.
That was not good advice.
How about using your phone? Can you use your phone while you're driving? No, no phone usage.
And the other thing is, it's not even just being caught by police, it's anyone could technically turn you into it. So I know you will not do that.
No, I won't.
No.
There is a decent list brewing, I can tell you that, of violators that are being watched a little harder than some. So just keep that in the back of your mind that they are paying attention.
Okay,
Need a
I
motion?
think it's all.
I will make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Fields,
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Davendek.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye.
And
And then I'll send
Donna
form
sign
you.
it for you.
And we were harder on you because you were by yourself.
Thank
you.
But the crowd, there's less of a crowd.
I know.
Yes,
I was like, when I
you're-
first got in here, I was like, oh my gosh.
You are in good shape.
So then your next step is you'll have to go to the courthouse.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Allison.
You did well.
Okay, early graduation request, it looks like we have one. Reagan Toon, and she did, graduate at the trimester, so we're just gonna officially approve her. She's got all the credit she needs, so do we have a motion for that?
We approved the request for early graduation for Reagan Toon.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Davendek.
Aye.
Fields,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Silva.
Congratulations to Reagan. Okay, fundraising request, we don't have any,
There is one.
okay?
I just,
I
I
knew
did
it
it
was too
this
good to
morning,
be true.
maybe. I don't think it isn't up there?
No.
It's FCCLA and they're doing the thing where there's eggs in there, you know, you can have them
Oh.
put Easter eggs in your yard.
Oh,
Okay, sorry.
No, that's all right. So we have FCCLA posting for the Easter egg fundraiser, so do we have a motion to go ahead and approve that for them?
I will make that motion.
Second.
John,
Whatever.
motion and a second, please call the roll.
Fisher.
Aye.
Davendek.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Okay, so what we had mentioned earlier about the negotiations committee meeting, the next one up is the ratification and the negotiation agreement between the board and the Greene County Education Association. So once again, it was my second year doing it. It went very well and it was good to work with them on it. And so if you can see the note up there, the new base salary is $33,888, which is a percent of 3.5 almost,
The total
3.49.
district cost of 3.4922%, or $291,310 for us, kind of broken down. Let's give some of the bigger numbers anyway. So just in terms of total salary, it's a little over 167,000. We did, and then longevity was about 7,500. Those kind of two of the bigger numbers involved there.
Anything else to note on that? That's kind of just of
No,
it.
we're just talking about base salary, doesn't include PSS.
Thank you for letting me know that. I thought it was a busy afternoon. I
Okay,
didn't-
so do we need a motion?
We do.
Okay, is there a motion to go ahead and approve the negotiated agreement?
I will so move to approve the 23-24 negotiated agreement.
Second.
Motion, seconded. Please call the roll.
Davendek.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye.
I can vote on that now.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, sure. Okay, next on here is an employee sick leave request. And we have, a board policy that says additional days may be granted for extraordinary circumstances for a teacher. Oh, handbook, thank you. In such cases, the teacher's salary can be reduced to just cover the substitute teachers. And since we've had that request for this teacher, I'd like to go ahead and have a motion to, if we have any discussion or if we have a motion to go ahead and look at approving that.
I'll have to put her name in the minutes, so you might as well.
Okay, for Annette Coyle.
Yeah. She's undergoing cancer treatments and has used up all her sick leave.
So just lessen the burden on her in terms of she'll still get,
It'll still hurt. It
yeah,
just,
it'll
it's
still hurt,
better.
it'll just lessen the burden.
I think the third page maybe
It does.
shows
The
breakdown.
figures.
So your recommendation is yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree. I'd move that we do this special consideration for her salary.
I'll second.
You have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Fields.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Sylvan.
Aye. Okay, so the next up I'm thinking is Dave for, Dave and whoever he wants to speak with, extracurricular edition of, looking at adding bowling.
Yes, well, I sent the information to you about, some background information that I was able to obtain. There was interest, I guess I can see it. There was interest to, begin bowling, both within some community members and students. And what I did, about 3 weeks ago, I sent a survey out to all our 9th through 11th graders. And in that survey, there was a question, if we were to add bowling, would you participate in that program? And we had 164, I think, respond to that. And we had, I believe there were 19 boys that said yes, 12 girls that said yes, and then we had about 20 each that said maybe. So a bowling team consists of 6 bowlers at each level. So varsity would be 6, JV would be 6, boys and girls separate. And, you know, it's, I guess my main reason for wanting to add it, usually, and based on the survey, because I was able to go back after I went and looked on the backside, I could tell, because I asked another question, are you involved in any other athletics? And all the ones that said yes, this would be the only athletic activity that they would be involved in. So there's a few that might have said 1 or 2, but so that kind of solidified my theory of it shouldn't hurt current programs that we have. It'll be an opportunity to increase participation, participating in activities. As you know, statistics show that better attendance, grades, behavior, all those things. So if we can find a way to connect more kids to school, I believe it's beneficial for our students. And I've talked to John up at Spare Time Lanes, and you know, he's all on board for it and would love to see it. And we have some kids that bowl in junior leagues and tournaments and stuff right now. So I think it would be good to add that. The costs are, I have, gave estimates there. I didn't have a final dollar amount, but it's not a huge, you don't have to go buy a bunch of equipment. Basically, a shirt, and whatever we get charged for using the bowling alley and that kind of thing. And if we go to tournaments, there might be some entry fees, that type of thing. So that's my recommendation. Obviously, you guys can decide whether you think that's.
What's the season for bowling?
It's during the winter, so
Okay.
it would be during basketball and wrestling.
Okay.
It is, yeah, because they just had bowling state 2 weeks ago, I believe,
Okay.
2-3 weeks ago, so.
Are there many teams like in our conference that participate?
No, that was one of the challenges I put on there. In this area of the state, there aren't a ton, excuse me, of schools. There's no, I don't, they might share with some other ones, but there's no school standalone in our league in our conference that, has bowling. But bowling, bowling against bigger schools isn't as big of a competitive disadvantage as, like if you're trying to play football or something with a numbers game and thing like that. So, we would probably have to bowl against some bigger school, and there's some others around, but there's just there's not a ton, as many, I should say, in the immediate area. As when I came from Bellevue, we had a bowling team, and it seemed like there were a lot more, schools are, in the area, but,
Then are
Could be
the
trendsetters.
competitions, are
Yeah,
they
but it's gonna take
weekdays,
transportation too.
like basketball and wrestling? or-
yeah, they would, well,
or-
your weekday competitions usually like at 4 o'clock. Bowling alleys, they like to get them in there so they're done before their leagues start and things like that. So it'd be like a 4 o'clock start during the weekdays. If there's a tournament, that would be on a Saturday typically. The state qualifying tournament is on a Tuesday, and then obviously the state tournament, if you qualify for that, it's on a weekday, Monday or Tuesday. And now they do two. You have an individual state bowling tournament, and you have a team. So you can qualify as an individual or you can qualify as a team, and they switched that up last year. So
And is there a boys league, girls league, or is
Yep.
it a mixed?
nope, it's boys and girls. Yep.
And they run concurrently?
Run concurrently. Yeah, just like basketball.
Would
They
there
would
be
bowl
a-
the same night usually on different lanes.
Is there a goal of like a number of tournaments for a first year, second year that you try? I mean, is it 3? Is it 10?
Tournaments, probably wouldn't be that many tournaments. I mean, obviously, we would have to see what the opportunities are. I believe it's been a while, I should have checked on this. I believe in order to be eligible to be in the state qualifying meet, you have to have like, I want to say 6 or 8 competitions throughout at least.
Yeah.
And I think you get up to, might be 15. I'd have to look at that, 14 or 15.
And how far would we have to travel to participate?
I would say in terms of that, it would be similar to our conference, an hour,
There's a lot.
I think an hour and a half is probably the most. I mean, there are schools, well, let's say Atlantic is an hour and 20 minutes, so I mean, and they're big into even the middle school bowling that's going on. Middle school bowling in 6th, 7th, 8th graders. So and Dan Duskin, who's the bowling proprietor down there, reached out to me and said, if you can get the bowling started, would you willing to do a home and home? And I said, well, if we can get it started, I'd definitely do a home and home. Because they would come here and we would go down there. I mean, and this is an hour and 20 minutes, so I mean.
that's probably about what you're looking at. I mean, I'm just like,
And there's a bunch of tournaments.
yeah, there's
schools in Des
tournaments,
Moines,
yeah.
all over the Des Moines area. And those schools are like independent, which, and like what Dave was saying is that we don't really necessarily have to worry about the numbers game there, because it's not like, it just doesn't, it honestly doesn't matter. And honestly, because they only have, I think they have 3 classes of bowling now. And if we had other schools join us, like I know there's a couple of kids from Carroll that have asked me. My son bowls in the Saturday morning league. And there's a couple of kids that come over from Carroll that are asking me to compete against some of the barring, when are we gonna have that kind of thing. So we'd be able to draw from a larger market, and then you start merging those high school numbers together. And so then now all of a sudden we're gonna be competing against like Valley and stuff like that. Ogden doesn't have a team, Boone doesn't. I think the farthest, you have to go up to Fort Dodge to be able to get a team, and I think you have to go as far south as actually Atlantic to be able to get a team. Then you have to go as far west as Denison before you pull a team. So
Gilbert has one.
Gilbert has one. And I know even like Dallas Center Grimes, they share with Waukee.
Yeah.
So bowling, so, I think like I said, these numbers that I got, obviously a survey is a survey, but we have enough solid that I believe it would be, we're not gonna be like scraping to get six kids or 12 for, to have a JV and varsity. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. And like I said, I think it gives an opportunity to maybe some students that aren't involved in other things. And it's a lifelong, something you can do your whole life. Yeah, so,
If I can put just a little bit more input into it. We went from 8 kids to 26 kids this year, and we have one kid that's already qualified for the junior gold in Indianapolis. He's been in my bowling program since he was probably 10 or 8, 9, 10 years. It's Carter Fetcher, if you want to know. He qualified for junior gold in Indianapolis, and they just went into a tournament last weekend in Omaha to try to qualify again to bowl, for junior gold. His brother does the same thing, and Brett's son Pierce bowled in the same tournament. So there's always something going on, trying to get him better off for the bowlers.
And I guess you asked how many tournaments would you go to? I should have explained that, you have tournaments, but then you also have what you'd be like duels or something.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, is more that winter set home, there's 2 matches already.
So you would have basically the setup of a high school bowling, matches that they bowl 2 games of individual, and then they do 5 Baker games.
Well, if we had bowling, I'll learn that lingo.
Yeah.
Talk to your dad.
Yeah. Alright.
How about cheerleaders for bowling?
I've never seen a cheerleader for bowling.
Hey, we're kind
Just
of.
don't try to find another opportunity for cheerleaders.
They gotta have to split between wrestling and basketball.
But I will say there are some teams that get pretty excitable and, dare I say, some could be annoying, but that's part of it, I guess, but, yeah.
Part of the experience.
I would point out there's another bowling alley in our school district over at Grand Junction. I don't know if there's an opportunity to share both ways, or if you reached out to them.
No, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't realize there was a bowling alley.
There's a bowling alley in Grand Junction as well.
Okay, I mean, some of it would have to do with how many lanes they have. and that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
6.
They have 6 over there?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty tough. Yeah, it'd be pretty tight. I think we had an 8 lane and that was pretty, we couldn't do JV and varsity at the same time, so. But yeah, I didn't know that we could, I'm definitely, if
But there's logistics that make Jefferson a whole lot easier, but I just thought I'd.
Yep. Thank you for mentioning that, because I didn't know.
Okay, so if we wanted to start a bowling program, the motion today would be just to start a program, and the actual financials would come after, when we have more specifics and things like that. So does anyone have any other questions for Dave?
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, I
Shoes
think
and
so.
balls, do they all these students then have to have their own shoes and balls, even students that are not previous?
No, we would provide them with bowling balls and shoes. They're allowed to purchase them.
They don't have to.
Yeah, but they don't have to.
Yeah, my experience has been like your home, like our bowling alley in Bellevue. If a student didn't want to purchase their own, they worked really well, and they would pick out a ball there, and then that kid would use that the whole season, and they would let them use shoes. So yeah, so it's not a high dollar thing. Yeah.
And a lot of the kids use whatever I have. They throw some of the stuff that I have, and we have plenty of bowling balls, so.
I would like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the extracurricular edition of bowling.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Yields.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, good luck with that.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Whatever we can.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, and I appreciate John and Vicky, and their willingness to help us out. And, you know, I think it's, like I said, it's a good program to have for a variety of kids to get involved, so.
It's a niche sport, so it'll be good for, there's several kids.
Yeah, I'm excited to get more
Yeah.
kids involved. That's awesome.
It's kind of like esports,
Mhm.
you know,
It'd be
it
very-
includes kids that aren't probably your
These are last things
normal
I read.
athletic
Wood
kids.
board,
Wood
WOODFORD.
Okay, thank you.
Gosh, we've added 3 sports in what, 4 years here now? Soccer, and bowling, and esports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna move on along to item G, the 23-24 AEA Cooperative Purchasing Agreement. And this was just.
Yeah, it's mostly for the nutrition fund.
Yeah.
But there is paper that we buy too. There's just a lot of things that they go out and bid out different places and then schools get a break, so.
Any questions on that or any?
Something that has to be renewed every year.
I'll move we approve the AEA Cooperative Purchasing Agreement for 23-24.
I will second that motion. All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Dominic.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. All right. Okay, so now we are gonna move on to the first reading of revised board policy 404.6. Let me speak to that.
Yep, so there was just a code change in here that that states that the probationary period for a teacher, whether they are new to the district or new to the profession, that it actually lasts for 2 years instead of 1. And so I believe our policy still says that it's for 1 year, so it just needs to be adjusted to reflect the new code change to be 2 years.
So the fourth line down there where it says that previous Iowa districts are 1 year.
It's hard to see, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, so do we have a motion to go ahead and line up our board policy with Iowa code and switch it from 1 year to 2?
I will move to approve the first reading of revised board policy 404.6.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Fisher.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Okay, and now we're gonna move on to the 23-24 certified budget presentation.
yeah, so in this presentation, I'm just going to take you through a wide variety of things here and a lot of historics here too. So in terms of our headcount enrollment, just kind of what our overall tax rate is, and Brent, slow down. And I'm just gonna take you through a number of those things, so you can kind of see that historical look into where our money goes, where it comes from, and how it's spent. So that next slide down there is our certified and served enrollment over the last 5 years. One of the kind of interesting things, I'm a numbers geek, I guess. I just thought it was kind of interesting that in FY18 to FY22 that our enrollment is only a tenth of a student different.
Yeah.
So it's in terms of stability, in a 5-year look, stability is there, although it does kind of fluctuate up and down. A large majority of the reason for the fluctuation has to do with what does the senior class look like and what does that kindergarten class coming in look like. So like this year, our senior class, we have 82 students, right now sitting in preschool, we have 79 students, so they're right there, we're looking at it's a 3 student difference. Typically we end up getting about 4 or 5 more students to start kindergarten. So, so some of that enrollment, next year, however, or after next year will be different because we have 102 juniors. So that's a big class. That's a big class for us. So we'll see. All right. So the next slide down there talks about spending authority. Spending authority is just it's a lot of that comes from our state aid. It's about $7,500. So there's a number of components that make up our general fund where we get that spending authority. And so I'm not going to go through and list them all on the next slide, but there's a number of them there. Okay, moving down to the next one is talks about property taxes. This is where the funding per student is paid for by a combination of local property tax dollars. So if you remember that bar chart of how our funding formula is made up, and just how property taxes kind of fit in with that. So there's 5 components that make up our school district's general fund property tax rate, which is the uniform levy, the additional levy, instructional support levy, and then our 2 different cash reserve levies. Next chart will just kind of looks at our uniform levy rate and then all of our other levies that are included on that. So you can see kind of the historics of that uniform levy, which has started, back in 2017 was at $12.41 per thousand. And our next year for FY24, we're looking at it'll be $14.31. Remember that in FY19 there, we had that increase when we added the debt service levy with the general obligation bond. And then each year since then, there's been a decrease in that overall rate, down about 90 cents or so from FY19 there. So next slide down, we'll just kind of show you the just that graph just on the levy rate, just so you can see it in a graph form. So you see the the big jump off there, obviously in FY19, and then it's just kind of slowly stair step down as we've gone over the past few years here. So just for some general comparison rates, the next slide down, this shows 9 other school districts that are all within about plus or 50 students from us in enrollment, just to kind of give you a look as to how we might compare to some other schools in there. It's like Centerville, Algona, Anamosa, Sheridan, Esterville, Lincoln Central, just to give you just a kind of a different comparison there for our overall rate. Next slide down compares us to all of our conference schools, where we kind of sit there. So Perry's is unusually high, but you can see that the farthest to the right there, that's our conference average, and so we're just underneath our conference average. Okay, next we'll kind of dive into some of our non-general fund levies, our management fund, PEPL, both voted and general, and we'll get into the debt service as well. So management fund, it's dropped about it dropped 6 cents per thousand. One of the big things, the key things there is we're not intending on pre-funding a early retirement incentive for next year either. So which would probably be the reason why we would have seen that in FY 20, 21, and 22. It was just a little bit higher there when early retirement was an option. So it's not something we're looking at. Next slides are going to be some big ones. If you know, we have our voted PEPL vote coming up in November. And so just to give you some information there on our voted PEPL. So our physical plant and equipment levy, or the voted PEPL, next year will be at $1.01. We are able to set that as high as $1.34, but we have not done that at least in the historical graph that I'll show you here as well. That generates about $711,000 a year for us. We also have a regular PEPL, which has always been set at 33 cents per thousand, which generates about $230,000 for us. And just a reminder, like PEPL is physical plant and equipment levy, that's buildings, buses, and technology. That does not go into fund staff salaries or anything else like that. Some of the major purchases that we've had just in the calendar year: scoreboards, Clever Touch displays in classrooms, new updated bus fleet through GPS software, non-instructional software that we use for payroll, financial data tools. It also helped to do the roof section replacement over the middle school here, and to do several building security updates. So getting into that next slide there talks about how that our voted PEPL will expire at the end of FY24. So we're going to be adding it to the election in November there to get that voted back in place. We will vote to put it at $1.34 per thousand. But the one thing I just want to stress there again is that we've never went all the way up to that maximum rate. We have always stayed fairly low, well under that rate. So just that's just our way of just showing our taxpayers, like we're being as fiscally and financially responsible with the monies that we do receive.
Would you like a committee to be put together to help educate the community?
Say that again.
Would you like to put together a committee to help educate the community as far as the election in 20?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Next graph down there shows our historical PEPAL rate there, voted PEPAL rate anyway, from FY17 through FY24. So I put the max rate there, and that big line going across just shows you that's the maximum allowable rate, and how we've just been kind of continually floating in and around that 85 to $1 range or so over the past 5 years. And then the next graph down is kind of a redundant one, but it just, it's our regular physical plant equipment levy. There it is. It's always been at 33 cents, but just so you can see that. Yep. Our debt service fund, our debt service levy, it primarily has been used for our general obligation bond. So we activated that back in FY19. So for FY24, it's actually going to drop down to $2.10. As we kind of run that amortization schedule, that debt service levy should continually drop each year. So the next slide will just show you that graph as to how that has continued to drop. Those are the big pieces of our budget that I just wanted to point out. If there's any discussion or questions.
So today he presents the certified budget, and then here in a second, we'll look for a motion to set a public hearing at our next regular board meeting.
You got it. April 19th.
But you did a good job. Either I'm figuring this out after a year, or that made more sense to me than a lot of others did.
ISD, it was a great
I
conference,
understand a
wasn't
lot more of that than I ever had.
it?
So that was
That was one of the better presentations I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
very good.
very
Well,
informative.
if for fun, if you ever want to see the ones that we get back from ISFIS, they're, I was looking at them, I was like, Brenda, what does this mean? It's just like blocks and graphs. I'm like, where's the numbers? So
This makes sense.
Yep. That was kind of my goal too.
Good.
That's good.
Okay, so would someone want to go ahead and make that motion to have a public hearing during our next regular board meeting, which I believe is April 19th?
Yeah, I'll make that motion to set the public hearing for the next board meeting on April 19th for the certified budget.
Okay, do we have a second? I'll second that motion. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
You made the motion.
Steve first, then.
And then Michelle. Okay, very good. Okay, McConnell.
Aye.
Davinde.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move over to the certified budget amendment. Oh, it's right there. Is this normal?
Oh, wait, there's nothing there.
Oh, okay, so we.
There would be a line under it.
That's what I thought. I'm like,
Just
clicking
keep clicking and
hyperlink.
it'll come up eventually.
You mean it's not a hyperlink, it won't turn into one, okay. So then I think we're just looking to set the public hearing for that then. So can we get a motion to go ahead and set the public hearing for the certified budget amendment at the same time in April board meeting?
I'll make that motion to set the public hearing for April 19th for the certified budget amendment.
Second that.
Okay, motion in a second. Please call the roll.
Fields.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Davinde.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye.
I'll just add that when you're doing the certified budget, you really can see that you need to amend the one you're in. And it's not that we're raising taxes or doing anything else, it's just that we've got extra money sitting there and we need to go ahead and do some purchases. And it's mostly sales tax, capital, and nutrition fund stuff, so.
Good. Okay, so then we'd be looking at our board policy that we're gonna review this month, which is 410.1 through 411.4. And I think everybody's had a chance to look at that. And I didn't see, did I miss any changes? I didn't see anything.
No proposed changes then?
No.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve board policies 410.1 through 411.4.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Fisher.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Sylvia.
Aye. Okay, and then now's the time where we're gonna move into closed session, so if somebody would like to read that motion, to do that. I move that we hold a closed session as provided in Iowa Code 21.51I of the Open Meetings Law to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose performance/hiring is being considered to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, as that individual has requested a closed session. Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Sylvia.
Aye.